Hi, I'm Emma, and this is a new moon class to help you find balance. We're going to be strengthening the core and opening up the hips. Let's get started. We're starting this class in a seated position, so go ahead and make your way there. When you land, just shift your hips out from underneath you here. Make sure that you've got as much of the surface of your butt connected to the ground as you can. And then making sure that you're sharing your weight evenly between the two sitting bones, the two sides of the pelvis. So just play around with that a little. Just getting settled in, arriving. Thinking about the pelvis today as your foundation. Two sides of the hips, the tailbone and the pubic bone, and all of that three-dimensional space at the bottom of your torso. Finding that as your foundation. And then really rooting down through the bottom of the pelvis here. With the legs, the hips get really heavy. If it feels good, you can allow your eyes to close. And if that doesn't feel good, just soften your gaze somewhere in front of you. Wherever you find yourself, just really turning your attention inward. And connecting with the pelvic floor, all that space at the bottom of the pelvis, the soft tissue. Finding it just hovering above the ground. And then see if you can invite your breath down to help stretch and press that pelvic floor down towards the earth. So finding a breath pattern, pulling breath down into the very bottom of the belly, really imagining the hips are stretching, expanding as you breathe in. As you breathe out, hugging the belly in towards the back, there's a little lift up of the pelvic floor to help press the breath out. A few rounds of breath like that. Pulling breath down and in. And pressing breath up and out. As you arrive here today, just notice how you're feeling. The new moon is a time of heightened energy and a time of new beginnings. You might feel like you want to start a project or you have renewed interest in working, building things. So just tune in and just notice how you're being affected today by the energy around you. And then tune into how you're feeling mentally, physically. Kind of thoughts are running through your mind. And then how you feel in your body. Just checking in, just taking inventory before we begin. This practice is all about finding balance through the torso, finding strength in the core, and opening up through the hips and the lower body. Just notice if you're holding on to tension anywhere, any places of tightness or restriction. See if you can find them, bring awareness to them, and then just breathe into them, stretch them out, allow them to soften. And then lastly, before we get moving, just a moment of gratitude. This energy is all about building, moving, starting. But just tapping in and finding something that you're grateful for right now in this moment. Bringing it into your mind's eye. Something that's good in your life right now and something that you're really grateful for. It doesn't have to be something that you think you should be grateful for, but just the first thing that comes up for you intuitively, just holding that in your heart or in your mind's eye. And just allowing that energy of gratitude, of abundance. Just allowing that to wash over your body, meet your being before we begin. Cool. Together we'll take a big breath in. And a long breath out, just let it go. We're going to transition now, coming onto the hands and the knees. Find tabletop. Hands are right underneath the shoulders here, and the knees are right underneath the hips. We're going to press down through the tops of the feet. So you want to have the feet connected on the ground to help the lower belly turn on. And then finding that flat back here. So there's a little tilt of the pelvis, the hip points draw up and in. The lower ribs hug down towards the hip points so the belly is turned on. And with the core turned on, the belly turned on, the back should start to lengthen. You don't have to find it on the first try here. We're practicing. So don't get discouraged if this feels hard. Setting up a camera or something, if you go back and watch your form, that can be helpful too. We're finding the hips stacked right underneath the rib cage here in this horizontal plane. So think about the opening of the rib cage and the opening of the pelvis lining up here. Cool. And then from here, the head, if you're like me and the head is falling forward, you want to tuck the chin into the throat so the back of the neck is long. Think about pulling the back of the head up, bring it in line with the tailbone. Finding that energetic line through the spine. Cool. From here, we're going to tuck the back toes, lift the right knee up. So you come into this little three-legged dog. And just notice if if the hips are shifting. We want the hip points pointing down, so both sides are pointing down. Just notice if that right hip curls up. You want the belly to stay square with the ground. And then pressing into the hands and the knees, we're going to inhale and just lift that heel up. Bring it in line with the hip. It doesn't have to be high. Little three-legged table here. We'll take a big breath in, fill the belly, fill the back, lengthen the leg. Exhale, we're going to draw the knee in towards the nose, round through the back, nose to knee. Couple more like that. Inhale, send it out long, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze the belly in, round through the back, knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, hug it in. 2 more. Big breath to let it out, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze and lift. Last one, you've got it. Big breath, really lengthen, crown of the head to the heel. And then on the exhale, draw the belly in, round through the spine. Tuck the forehead towards the knee. Hold it. Squeeze. You got it. We're here for 3, for 2. And then on the 1, we're going to send the leg back out and then just drop the toes down on the ground so the toes are anchored here. From here, we're just going to rock a little forward and back. The toes stay grounded. Here, we're just bouncing on that foot, just opening up the fascia. The bottom of the foot, the ankle, maybe all the way into the legs and the hips. Cool. Then we're going to let that go. We're going to step the left foot back so that you come into a plank pose here. I'm going to walk forward. Plank pose, hug the belly in, send the heart forward, take a big breath in. On the exhale, we're going to bend the elbows, lower all the way down, come onto the belly. Nice and slow, untuck the toes, hug the elbows in towards the rib cage. We're going to anchor through the pubic bone here, the lower belly. So just play around with that, the engagement of your body so that your weight is being held evenly between both hip points and the center of the belly, the pubic bone. And then from here, we're going to inhale, peel the gaze up, little baby cobra. Look forward. Exhale to soften, let it go. Again, inhale lifts you up, roll up, float up. Exhale to soften and sink. Last one, big breath in, peel it up, 1 vertebrae at a time, lift your head. And then exhale to let it go. Cool, from here we're going to press into the hands and the knees, come back to table. We're going to do the other side. So tuck the left toes, lift the left knee, come into that three-legged stance here. And then just finding your foundation before you lift up the leg. So sharing your weight between both hands, between the knees. We'll inhale, fill up. Exhale, lift the heel, bring it in line with the hip. Find that alignment, find that balance. Feel your belly work, hug it in towards your spine. And then we'll find a flow. So inhale, lengthen. Exhale to crunch. Knee to nose. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, crunch. 2 more, big breath in. Exhale, hug it in. Last one, biggest breath you've taken all day, fill your chest. And then exhale, squeeze and round through the body, really lift the front body into the back body, hold it. We're here for 3, for 2, and then 1. We're gonna drop the knee down and then sit the hips back to the feet. We're just gonna take a break with the wrists here. Maybe you've already taken a break. That's cool, just roll them out. If you're new to the practice or you have any kind of tension in your arms, your shoulders, your hands, then the weight bearing on the wrists might not feel good, and that's okay. When I started, I could barely be on my hands and knees for 5 seconds. It really does come with time, so just shake it out, any movement that feels good. We're gonna reset here. Hands on the knee, hands and knees on the ground. We're gonna lift the knees, plank, press back. Inhale to send the hips up high and back, downward facing dog. Melt your heart back, melt your heels back, and then really lifting through the hip points here. Think about sending the tailbone straight up towards the sky, melting the hips back, the heart back, big stretch for the backs of the legs. Notice where you feel it. Nice long connection from the heels through the legs to the back. Find those places of resistance in your body. See if you can send your breath there. Cool, we'll take 1 more breath like this. Fill up. And then exhale to look forward and then step the feet towards the hands here. Coming into a forward fold. Give the knees a generous bend. We're going to grab opposite hand on opposite elbow here, tuck the chin into the throat, and just let the body swing a little side to side here, any movement that feels good. You can work on bending and straightening 1 knee at a time. Little freestyle movement here. We're just exploring all those connections through the back line of the body. Opening up through the hamstrings and the back, but maybe even feeling it on the bottoms of the feet or up into the neck and the shoulders. Just notice where you feel it in your body. And then together we'll inhale, straighten out through your knees, press them back, big stretch. Exhale, we're going to bring the hands onto the shins. And then inhale, tuck the chin, halfway lift, peel it up. 1 vertebrae at a time, shine the heart forward. We're looking to find a flat back, so whether that's a perfect L shape or you're in more of a V shape, it doesn't matter. The engagement here is in the belly, so think about pulling the low ribs down towards the hip points here, and then tucking the chin into the throat so the upper back body turns on. A couple of breaths like this. Feel the legs. Feel the back, the shoulders working. Take 1 more big breath in. On the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and send the hips back. Arms go forward, chair pose. Hips are low. See if you can really send breath here into the bottoms of the hips and the bottoms of the pelvis here, breathing down into that space at the bottom of the hips. Exhaling, hugging the belly in towards the back, really squeeze it out. Again, inhale, fill up, feel your legs. Exhale, breathe out, stay calm. We'll take 1 more big breath in. And then a long breath out, stay here, sink a little lower maybe. And then on the inhale, nice and slow, soft knees, we're gonna straighten out the legs, rise up into a tall mountain. And that's where we'll meet. You're setting up here so that the rib cage is stacked over the hips. And the head is stacked over the heart. There's a nice long line through the torso. Catch your breath. If you're like me, maybe you're feeling a little out of breath, a little warm. And then as you slow down, just tuning in once again to the two sides of the hips and to the feet on the ground here. You want to be sharing your weight evenly between both heels. And then the hips are right over top of the heels, so just play around with that a little bit. Notice if there's any twisting or turning in your body, if the two sides of the body are doing something different. See if you can find alignment, find cohesion between them. Cool. From here, we're going to shift weight over into the left foot and then bring the hands down together in the heart. We're getting set up for a little baby tree. So find that left leg under you first. Think about drawing energy up through the inner thigh and then all the way up through the hip joint, through the belly, through the midline, through the crown of the head. So really lifting up through the front of the body. The shoulder blades draw down the back here so the heart stays open. Breathing in, drawing energy up through the front of the body. Breathing out, drawing energy down the back body, along the shoulder blades, through the spine, through the tailbone, through the back of that leg into the heel. Cool. From here, we're going to bring the right heel to connect on the left leg. Toes are grounded to start. So this is a little baby tree. If you're a beginner or you have any kind of issues with your hips, your knees, if your balance is really not good, you can stay here like this. If you want a little more, you can lift the toes up off the ground and then maybe connect the sole of the foot somewhere on the inside of the leg. Just be mindful that you're not putting any pressure on your knee joint or your ankle. Things are still feeling good. You want to be able to really pull that right knee back so the inner thigh shines forward on that opposite leg. And then thinking about squeezing the two legs together, hugging the belly in, lifting the heart. If you fall, if you wobble, just come back. If you're struggling, that means you're building strength. And then wherever you are together, we'll take a big breath in, send the arms up overhead, maybe fall, maybe shake, it's okay. Exhale, hands come down through the heart. We're going to drop the foot down, just bump the hips a little side to side, reset. Cool. From here, we're going to shift weight over onto the right foot. And just really taking your time with it here. We're not rushing into anything. We're slowing down. We're tuning into the body and being really, really conscious of how we're engaging things, because that is what really changes how you feel in your body. That subconscious engagement becoming conscious. So just play around. As you're ready, you can bring the heel to connect on the ankle. The toes are down on the left foot. Little baby tree. Thinking about keeping the two sides of the hips square so they're lined up with each other. And then pulling that left knee back so the inside of the knee is shining forward here. You should feel your glutes turn on. If this side needs less, you can stay here. If this feels like a good place to work for you, you can stay here like this, totally cool. Or if you want a little more, you can lift that foot up and connect it somewhere on the inside of the leg. Find the shape on the other side. Notice the shifting that's happening, the wobbling, the shaking. And just keep your breath rolling here, nice and smooth, filling up from the bottom all the way to the top. And emptying from the top all the way to the bottom. Cool. We'll just take one more breath like this. Together, inhale, send the arms up overhead, big tall tree. And then exhale, hands come down through the heart, drop the foot down, bump the hips a little side to side. Nice. Together, we'll inhale, circle the arms around, tall mountain. Exhale to fold it forward, send the heart down. Hands to the shins, inhale for halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale to soften and fold. We're going to plant the palms, step the knees back, plank. And then bend the elbows, lower down. You can do chaturanga or belly to cobra, your choice. On the exhale, drop the chest down and then press into the hands and the knees. Squeeze the belly, rise up, table. From here, we're going to lift the right knee up, kick the foot up towards the ceiling here, so you come in this little three-legged dog stance. And then we're just going to draw circles with the knee, really, really slow with control. We're going to do around 5 on each side. Big circle. You want to be keeping the hips nice and stable here, so if that makes your movement smaller, that's okay. You don't want your hips and your torso to be shifting around too much. You want to be kind of anchored so that just the hip joint is rolling around. And then go ahead, reverse your circle, take it the other way. These are really good to open up space in the hip joint to wake up all the little muscles, all the little stickiness that can happen through our lives, through injury, through emotional tension. It's nice and slow, just exploring all of the range of motion of that hip and noticing if there's any stickiness, if there's any difficulty, any compensation, and just observing it and working on smoothing it out. Finish up wherever you are, then drop the knee down. We're going to switch sides, so just lifting up the left knee, bring it in line with the hip. Find your foundation first. Belly is turned on, the lower ribs hug down towards the hips. And then when you found that alignment through the core, just start those circles on the other side, nice and slow. If you're like me, one of your hips is going to be a lot different. Adjust as you need. You don't have to do the same thing on both sides if it doesn't feel right for you, so just adjust. Go with the flow. Go ahead and reverse the circle, take it the other way. Even it out. Keep the breath flowing down into the pelvic floor, into the hips, into the belly, the ribs, all the way to the top of the chest. Cool, finish up wherever you are, drop the knee down. This time we're going to tuck the toes and then send the hips back to sit on the heels, a little stretch for the feet. Once again, just give the hands, the wrists a little movement. Anything that feels good, let them go. Cool. From here we're going to come back to a seated position. And we're just getting set up here for double pigeon. So the right leg is on bottom first. The shin is parallel with the front edge of your mat, and then stacking the left ankle over the right knee so the ankles and the knees become stacked. Make sure that you're sitting evenly between both hips. Flex the toes up towards the knees here so the ankles are turned on. Just notice where you feel it. Not just stretching the hip joint here, but also the ankles, the outsides of the legs. This is a big compound movement here, so just notice where you feel it. If you're especially tight here, that knee is going to be quite lifted. There's going to be lots of space between the top knee and the bottom ankle. You can totally pause this video if there's a lot of space and maybe put a block or a pillow in, something to help close that space. We're working on melting that top knee down. Bring it closer to the foot. And really anchoring through the hips, through the tailbone here, keeping the chest soft. We'll take one more breath like this. And then a long breath out, let it go. We're going to switch sides. So the left leg comes on bottom, right leg on top. Stack them up. Find your alignment, find the engagement of the feet so the toes flex up towards each other. And just notice if this side needs something different, make any adjustments that you need. If you're like me and especially tight through your hips, your chest might get involved. You might start to slump forward, the head might fall forward. So just notice if that's you. We're keeping that alignment here. Hips are the foundation. The opening of the rib cage stacks on top. And then the opening of the head stacks right on top of that. So there's a nice long line through the torso. Just the knee working on melting down, opening up through that hip and the lower back. We'll take one more breath like this. And then a long breath out, just let it go. Cool. From here, we're going to bring both legs out in front of you. The heels are on the ground, but the toes are lifted, and we're going to lean back onto the hands here. Just windshield the knees, the legs a little side to side. Just swing the hips a little left, a little right. Letting go of any residual tension that's hanging on in there. Just notice how you're feeling. We're slowing down again. Just notice how things have shifted. It doesn't take a lot of time. It just takes a little bit of observation, a little bit of presence. All right, we're gonna let that go. So finish up wherever you are. Legs go out long and then nice and slow. We're going to tuck the chin and roll down, come on to the back. When you get there, stretch the arms up overhead. Take a big, long body stretch. Big breath in. And a big breath out to let the arms come down by the sides. We're going to come into rest here. We're getting set up for our meditation now, so if you need any final movement or stretching, if you want to pause this video and grab a blanket or a pillow, anything you need to get comfortable, just take a few moments to take care of that. Any shifting or stretching that you need. Together, we're going to meet in a comfortable resting position on the back, whatever that looks like for you. If your lower back bothers you, if you're having trouble grounding the lower back, you can bend your knees, put the feet flat on the ground here, so that the center of the lower back, the tailbone, is what's resting on the ground, holding your body weight. And you can start to soften through the muscles of the belly, the chest, and the neck. If you haven't already, just allow your eyes to close. And then together we'll take a big breath in, fill up. Long breath out, really sink down into your back body. Just let the ground hold you. Again, just noticing how you're feeling, tuning in, the energy around you, your emotional state, any thoughts or feelings that are running through your mind. And then sensations in the body. Notice your breath and where it's landing. And then inviting breath into the belly here. On your next breath in, breathing in and filling up all four sides of the belly. The belly, the lower back, the two sides of the waist. On the exhale, really squeeze everything in towards center, press it out. And just find a little flow like that. No pause between the inhale or the exhale. Breathing in, pulling in fresh breath, filling up. Breathing out, emptying out, making room for another breath. This practice was all about balance, both physically in your body, but also energetically. I think balance is kind of a moving target. And in order to find balance, we have to keep showing up for ourselves, keep checking in, and keep asking what we need, making little adjustments as we go, going with the flow. This time is quiet, where you're feeling good and soft in your body. As you breathe, just a few moments here to set an intention for the next moon cycle. And if you're not sure what that looks like for you, if you haven't really thought about it, setting an intention for the next moon cycle to be present and to keep checking in and making adjustments as you go. Just a few rounds of breath here. We'll take one more big breath in, fill everything up, and then just let it go. And start to bring movement back in your body. Any movement or stretching to help you wake back up. You can take your time, make your way to a seated position to close. Or you can stay, you can pause the video and just take a longer meditation if your day allows. The beauty of an at-home practice. And then just feeling the effects of your practice, feeling that shift, that change. And then showing yourself some gratitude for checking in, for staying present, and for taking this time to connect with your body and to care for yourself in this way. Thank you for sharing this practice with me.